So car values have been slowly decreasing. And with everything that's going on right now, the horrible storms, and, Dwayne and I, our hearts go out to anyone who's affected by this. And Dwayne, being the gentleman that he is a good friend of mine because he's a fantastic individual. He's over at Driven Wild Outdoors, and he contacted me knowing that I've got more than just my foot in the door in the automobile industry. I get to see wholesale prices. I get to see the wholesales process. And well, Dwayne is actually an expert in both real estate and construction. And he felt that together we could cover the subject of, prices on vehicles going down. But now with this storm, what kind of havoc is this going to cause? Is this going to be disastrous to the automobile resale value? And we do have some serious concerns in regards to this. We've got one particular point that really worries us in regards to claims. So Dwayne really contacted me saying, Johnny, I want to be able to give something that, can help people who are currently either looking to sell their vehicle, because if you're not affected by the storm, but you feel like you missed the boat in regards to selling your vehicle during those high prices, basically summer 2020 to the end of, or middle of summer 2022. Well, we've got information for you, so you're going to want to watch all the way to the end. And if you have been affected by the storm, well, we want to cover some really important points for you, things that you can do right now that are going to help you out. So this is Dwayne from Driven Wild Outdoors.
Yeah, Johnny, and thanks for having me on your channel, by the way. We do appreciate it. Yeah, I reached out to you because, I knew that you know where we're at, sort of the pulse of the car market and the automobile market in general, the auto. And I said, how is this going to affect us, right? If you're taking, and we're estimating, no one knows right now, but if you look at the footage between North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida, I'm thinking 10 to 15,000 cars easy, and that number will probably go up, that were damaged or totaled from flood or flying debris or both. And so my thing was the inventory is already low. However, in recent months, we've seen a softening in the wholesale market for used vehicles, what dealers pay, right? And my question to you was, because the inventory, historically speaking, is low, how quick will that decline in wholesale market for vehicles stop and actually return and shoot back up again? And so that was my question for you. All you have to do is look at the footage and you can see there is a lot of property damage. Unfortunately, a loss of life, a loss of property, and sentimental things that people have. But being that we cover all the automobile industry, I guess, the auto industry, that's what we're talking about, is how is this going to affect everyone?
Yeah, great question. And I know both you and we've got a huge concern and worry about how fast will people get their claims. How fast will people get their money so that they can buy a vehicle? So in just a moment, I'm going to talk about what you can do to really secure getting a vehicle before prices go up. We both suspect, I believe you're in agreement with me, we both suspect that prices are going to go up. Now, historically, what did happen, if we go back 2 years, we saw as soon as the new car market started producing, generally across all vehicles. So whether it's a Ford Maverick, a Ford Bronco, a Ford Ranger, Ford F-150, or really a Mercedes or a Corvette, the whole car market went down by about 30%. That's production. So production went down by about 30%. And values on the used market eventually went up by about 30%. So real quick, I can say what happened is slowly new vehicle yards had inventory go down to essentially near zero, or actually during certain periods at a lot of dealerships, actual zero new vehicle inventory. So the used inventory went up by about 30%. You could have a 2-year-old vehicle selling for the same price as a brand new vehicle, because that brand new vehicle had a delay of anywhere from 3 months to 5 years. Now, those delays are especially bad if we're talking about hybrids. Now, I know there's been a lot of concern in regards to, the Ford Escape plug-in taking anywhere from 3 months to about 9 months to show up. The Maverick hybrid taking anywhere from about Generally, the hybrid model is about 5 months to, well, we're going to be in the process of finding out maybe 16, 17 months before we get our Maverick hybrid. And this is where we have a real issue. So I guess my big takeaway from this, my big helpful piece in all of this, I could say, is if you do have a vehicle that's been affected, the main thing that you can do is try to find a dealer while you wait for your insurance company to make a claim. This could often, I've seen this for about a decade now, can often take several weeks. When it takes only 2 to 3 weeks, you're lucky. It can be as bad as 2 to 3 months when there's discussions or arguments about the value. And you brought up some really good points to me off air that we'll bring up in that, but I just want to send the point home. If you find a good dealer, I think a good dealer, while you wait for your total claim, so that your claim saying your vehicle is totaled, that they'll let you put down a deposit on a vehicle to hold it for you for a couple weeks while your insurance company works things out.
Yeah. And Johnny, I think that when you look at, well, this, this damage happened Southwest Florida through Florida to say Orlando, Daytona Beach, and then again in Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina. So, okay, well, that's not the entire United States or North America in general, because it depends on, I guess the financial aspect of it. Will vehicles be brought down from Canada or vice versa? But if you look at it, the inventories being historically so low, I feel this is going to affect the used car market in the entire United States, right?
Yeah.
Because dealers in the Florida area, obviously parts of Florida that weren't damaged are going to have inventory, but that's going to dry up pretty quick, and maybe they don't have the car that you want. See, my concern is are you getting do you have a replacement policy or a payout? So are you going to be paid based on what an appraiser says the car is worth, or do you have something in your policy that puts you back into a like vehicle, meaning quality, age, or do you have total replacement where you get a new vehicle? So that's going to determine on your insurance. But let's say that appraisers, adjusters are going to appraise the car and use the softening numbers of the last 2-3 months, probably find the lowest and say, this is your, and I'm not saying this is how it's going to happen. I'm just suspecting. And then this is your payout number. And now with interest rates being where they are, new car inventory being where they are, maybe someone is forced to go to that 1-2-year-old used vehicle. Well, that market, because of the inventory levels, once again, I think it's going to rebound because there's not the number of units available for purchase, and that's going to rebound and go higher. So what if you're hearing the stories now where the used car market is softening and you're thinking to yourself, man, 2 months ago, I knew I should have gotten rid of this, this car that I had. I could have gotten the most money. We'll start paying attention to the market because that very well may happen again. And it would probably be in the next 30 to 40 days.
Now, you just made 3 incredibly important takeaways. I'll just repeat quickly. The last one you made is fantastic for anyone who feels like they missed the boat. If you feel like you missed the boat because you didn't sell your vehicle in the last 2 years, yes, prices were up by 30%. And it was a very good time to sell your vehicle. Now, the market started to soften in June 2020, June 22, and it didn't go back the full 30%, but at first there was an instant clawback of about 15%, and since then it's gone down by about another 5%. And of course, this, I'm speaking generally, some areas remained hot, but generally the market lost about 20-25%. And two other very important points that you made. First of all, the new vehicle inventory. This is a major issue, because if you do have full replacement and you're owed or due a brand new vehicle, the problem is that brand new vehicle most likely isn't available. So then this brings up sort of a double whammy, because if the new vehicle isn't available for anywhere from 3 months to even 5 years, if we're talking about certain plug-in hybrids, a Corvette, very long wait time on a Corvette. In my region, it's 5 years. Other regions, it's 2 or 3 years. But nonetheless, that's not a proper replacement. So what can your insurance company do? Well, I would think that they're going to, well, obviously they're forced to go with a used vehicle. And that brings up your last point. If they're doing claims based on internet values right now. And that's generally how claims work. They look and they say, what do vehicles cost now? Okay, we'll average out, 10 of them. Here's your check. Well, the problem is they often take 2 weeks to 2 months to get you that check. 2 weeks, it's like
Right.
miracle situation that you've got a check in your hands from 2 weeks after your claim. So the problem is I'm worried that, basically, let's say average about 5, 6 weeks later, you've got a check in your hand that now does not cover the current market. So this is why my big, Dwayne and I really wanted to do this video together to try to use both our expertise from our various fields and give suggestions. Well, my big helping point, or our big helping point, because we thought of this obviously together, is try to find a dealer. First of all, try to find a vehicle that you like. But you also really do need to shop your dealer and try to find a dealer that's going to allow you to put a deposit on a vehicle at the current pricing, and that it just, they hold it for you for 2, 3 weeks. And Dwayne brought up, when we were talking off air, he brought up a really good point and a really great question. And maybe you want to ask it to me in regards to, how I feel about having a vehicle, if and when we should have a vehicle. I think you're talking about getting evaluated or inspected.
Pre-purchase inspection. So what if someone has they have a car, this is just hypothetical. They don't have full coverage on it, meaning if it's damaged, they're not getting paid a penny. They're only covered if they cause an accident. And that vehicle had a little bit of water in the interior, so it got in the car but didn't affect the engine. Unfortunately, someone's going to take a car like that. They're going to dry the carpet, sprinkle some smelly stuff on it, and then maybe sell the car. And so then
That's right.
someone doesn't know any better. They buy this car, and suddenly they start having electrical issues and other
Well,
issues, corrosion.
salt in your electrical components, and that salt and electrical components on
Right.
in some instances, extremely small wiring, very, I guess you call it high gauge, so like let's say 16 or 32 gauge,
Yep.
really fine wires. And over time, that salt that was in the vehicle can cause catastrophic issues. And yes, we can both foresee that people who didn't have insurance or proper insurance coverage, yeah, they are going to try to just sprucing up these vehicles and make them look good and sell them, get rid of their problems. So you definitely, that now is the time. Even if it's from a dealer, if you've got your dealer and then you get your deposit on right now at today's current pricing,
Yep.
and you get your check in 5 weeks. Well, once you have your check, now is the time. It's now well worth it. Make sure the dealer still has that vehicle for you, that nothing, they didn't sell it off and forget about you. But now's the time to get that vehicle inspected, because you don't want to pay 10 different inspections. Often a good inspection is going to be about $150 to $200, and you don't want to do that 10 times over. You don't want to bankrupt yourself getting these vehicles inspected, but you definitely want to get the one that you're pretty certain is the one. Will get it inspected before you sign the final contracts and drive away with that vehicle. And if
Yeah.
you currently do have a vehicle, and let's say you currently have a vehicle and you don't quite need it. For example, someone like in our situation, we currently desperately need a winter vehicle, because while you guys are getting hit by tropical storms that are devastating, we got a bit of it. It didn't total too many vehicles. It did ruin some houses, but we got to prepare for winter. I'm already in the winter jacket. Even in the house, I'm wearing a half winter jacket, and I'm going outside in the mornings and at nights with a winter jacket. So Canadian weather is very different. And we've got, for example, a Mustang GT. Well, someone in Florida needs a Mustang GT. So if you currently have a vehicle you don't quite need, we need a winter vehicle, not this summer vehicle. Well, now's a good time to think you're going to get a good value on that vehicle, because there's people that need that vehicle. So I can, foresee my 2022 Mustang GT convertible going down to one of these areas being hit. If you're in any of the northern states and you don't quite need your summer vehicle, or just you have any extra vehicle, now is going to be a good time to sell it. Prices should definitely go up, because basically there's going to be a lot of competition at the auction houses. And when auction prices go up, generally historically, the whole market, dealers who buy these on trade from you, well, their prices also go up. They get more, so they give more.
Right. And, I think, thanks to technology, you and I are connecting right now, and we're in completely different, areas. And the technology for a car buyer can easily find a vehicle anywhere in America to buy. Maybe it requires, some doing stuff online and then flying out or taking a day or 2 day trip to get that perfect vehicle. I know like here
Yeah.
in Virginia, we have an excellent dealer, right? And you can find dealers all over this country that are just great. It might not be the one right down the road from you, even though that's more convenient. So, like you said, go online, find someone that has what you need and is willing to work with you. Construction, think about construction vehicles that were lost. So a lot of remediation where, water is dried out, houses are the damaged drywall insulation and is cut out and the houses are dried and sanitized. A lot of those companies, they bring in the cavalry from other states, right? So they're, your big restoration companies, they're set up, they're staged, they roll in and they start working, which is critical because time in that area is really critical for a house. Well, think about the local contractors that's going to rebuild that house or
Yes.
supply houses that
Yeah.
had material. Inventory on everything, building products, appliances, TVs, couches, it doesn't matter. It's low. This will affect the entire United States because of those low inventory levels. Because when you don't have the inventory and there's an increase in demand suddenly, well, prices go up. Obviously, that's just supply and demand, basic economics. So I would say read the tea leaves of the economy. You said get ready for winter in Canada. We all need to be ready for a financial winter, right? And so if you have that vehicle laying around that you really don't need, like you said, now maybe, and it's always maybe because we don't have a crystal ball, now may be that perfect time to sell it to a wholesaler or to a
Yeah.
dealer or whatever you do. List it online yourself, I guess, because there's going to be a lot of vehicles that are needed, a lot of work vehicles. And so if you're a heating and air conditioning company in Virginia, you were already affected by waiting on that van that you need for your service or
Yes.
install
Oh,
department.
absolutely.
Now you're gonna be waiting even longer.
Yeah, vans currently, whether you're looking at a Ford van or Mercedes van or a Dodge van, you're looking not at months to get your vehicle. It's a question of, are we talking about 1 year or are we
Yeah.
talking about 2 years or even a little bit more than 2 years? And this is where vehicles that are, work vehicles, and I'm so happy because this is your area of expertise. So you know all about it. When you're a company and you need your work van or you need your work truck, the price isn't an issue because without that machine, your company isn't making money
Right.
and it's not, paying its employees and surviving. So this is really going to put an extra squeeze. We talked about my Mustang before, but more importantly, if you currently have a truck that you can tell yourself, you know what, I could go 1 year without camping, or if you've got a camper van and you haven't converted it yet, or even if it has been converted, yeah, you'll be surprised by the amount of money you can get for that vehicle because companies need these vehicles because there's people that, if you're getting your driveway redone, for example, you can say, oh, you can't come this summer, come back next summer. I can wait. It's not the end of the
Yeah.
world. But if you've
Right.
got no home to live in, and this is where, this is an area that, affects both of us. We find it's pretty, we want to see, the damaged areas get rebuilt as fast as possible, and we want people to get back into their homes as fast as possible, but there's going to need to be vehicles for those companies. So if you currently have a truck a truck or a van that you go a year without, go for it. And if you currently have, let's say, a Ford Maverick, even companies use these vehicles to transport people around and a bit of their equipment. If you currently have a Ford Maverick, the wait list on a Ford Maverick, whether it's hybrid or EcoBoost, we're generally talking 4 months to a little over 12 months, depending how you equip it. Well, if you've got one of these, you got to realize that some people have, these companies and also individuals have lost their Mavericks. So that's another model that's specifically probably going to go up by quite a bit because it's a needed tool. Anything that's truck is a needed tool. And if you can help out by selling your vehicle, well, you're going to be helped out in the price you're going to get for it.
Yeah. Financially, Johnny, one of the things I tell people, and my last point, I'll make it in a minute, but is consulting with other business owners, which I do a bit of, is, we talk about new vehicles and tell them how you have to forward pace this. They said, well, look at what they cost now right? Meaning, because some dealers are even on commercial vehicles still doing the ADM. And I said, well, what does it cost you not to have it, right? So if you can't physically do the work, it's 100% loss or potential loss, right? So what does it cost you not to buy that vehicle that is really 5 to 10,000 more than you were expecting? Right now,
Yeah,
it's
and if you
about
don't, you could
can
lose
we
your
get it?
employee. If you don't get
Right.
work to your employees, you could
Yeah.
lose that employee. So this, have not having the vehicle could have a ripple effect that can affect you for, it can take years. A good employee sometimes isn't replaceable, or can take
Right.
years to replace, or sometimes it can cost you two or even three for that one great employee that you lost. So yeah, no, that's a really good point that, you can bring up better than anyone else, really.
Well, yeah, and then you lose momentum. All right, companies are all you're growing or you're dying in business. You're not staying the same. The whole staying the same thing is a myth. So you always have to grow, and you should, like right now, any HVAC company or plumbing or electrical company should have a new vehicle in order, right? Because what
Yeah,
if it comes in and their financial picture is different? I'm sure the dealer
yeah,
could sell it to someone else, but the idea is
absolutely.
that you get the vehicle, you have it, and then keep one of your other vehicles that is technically still roadworthy for your work and keep it as a backup, right? So you have a spare vehicle. But I wanted to make one last point. If you think about, and this is not, taking advantage of the situation, this is reality. Historically speaking, this is what happens. I had a boat, a 1987 Parker, really nice fishing boat, sought after, built very well, one of the best built boats out, and they last a long time. And this was a few years ago, I think 2018, 19. And I bought it at a pretty good deal. And but put a lot of money into it, right? Boats are a never ending project. And I was going to sell it. And then I decided to wait one more year. So we enjoyed it one more year. Well, a hurricane hit Southern Florida and really damaged a lot of boats in the Keys and the Southwest coast. And what happened was the price of that boat shot up because so many boats just like this time are now out of the market.
Yeah,
Some of those people are probably not going to replace the boat right now because of interest rates and availability and inventory. But the people that are, because in Southern Florida, a boat's almost a lifestyle. It's like a car to some people. They're going to replace that. And if it's not new and they need a boat now, they're going to get a used boat, which takes especially on the higher end boats like a Parker, it takes the prices up. So, this is all about the realities that if you were affected, this is all about what you're going to be faced with to give an idea. Of course, the number one thing right now is recovery. Um, to help people that have been hurt, physically, financially, and of course, we mourn for those who lost their lives and just the entire life. And I wish nothing more than for normalcy to return as much as possible, as fast as possible for
absolutely.
everyone affected. But the auto market, you're going to need to pay attention moving forward, so you're not caught with no vehicle for a very long time.
Absolutely. I know in the meantime, we wanted to do, to the best of our knowledge, give really, tips and tricks to either, selling your vehicle, which you're going to be helping some people out because of this scarcity on the market. And also, we want to make sure that, people are aware that can take many weeks to get a settlement. But in the meantime, there are things that you can do to help lock you in at a lower price, because that is what your insurance company is looking at in regards to the value of your claim. So you don't want to be getting a claim based on values that are on the market right now, but then actually being able to pay in 1 or 2 months and have had the market go up. So, and of course, I want to mention in regards to new vehicles that, you can't really expect to get a new vehicle off a lot these days. Inventories are unbelievably low. And, this isn't just, sometimes people, I see it in my comments, they say, Ford, Ford, Ford. They put everything on Ford's back. This is, I also had a boat that I sold in June 2020, and I sold it for $18,000. And then the market and that's because I had agreed upon a price in April. So I took someone's deposit and I put my word down. Well, in June, I knew it was worth 28,000, an extra 10,000, but my word is my word. So I took a
Right.
$10,000 hit, but that's just because by June we realized that the boat market, they're producing 30% less new boats, and that the inventory was almost dry by June. And by July, August, there was no inventory. So then my boat was, my model of boat was going for about 30 to 34, generally about 32, 33,000. So a huge difference from my 18. So I hope, we both hope, Dwayne and I, that this video has been helpful, that it's giving you instructions and, things that you can do to help yourself out. And, as I can't say it better than Dwayne, our hearts do go out to you if you've been affected by all of this, and we do hope that you can get back to a normal life as soon as possible. So on that note, we're going to wrap up the show. I always end the show saying, we wish you all more cars and more power, but in this situation, we're just going to wish you more cars and getting back into your home and getting back to some sort of normalcy. We wish you the best. Please take care of yourselves. And until next time, we do wish you the best recovery possible. Take care.